About Tesla, how are you?
Hey, Aman, how are you doing?
I'm good. What's new with the updates today?
There is still no word on the new FSD update. We are still waiting for that merged version 2024.26.5 or some derivative of it. Hopefully, it will be coming this weekend, but I haven't heard anything. There is a new version 2024.26.6 rolling out as of yesterday. But unfortunately, that's just another page update for the summer release. No difference in the FSD or anything else significant as far as I understand. It is rolling out to a pretty big, portion of the fleet, like almost 2% of the global fleet. So that's a new update, but unfortunately, it doesn't have the new FSD. So we'll have to wait. And just wanted to also to say a word of caution in case if someone heard any rumors from like employees testing certain features. Keep in mind that what employees are testing is not necessarily what will be released to customers. So they can disable some features, they can update the release notes, or they can even come out with a completely different version. So we don't really know what will be released. At least I haven't heard. Maybe Omar has some leaks, but would be interesting to know.
Omar, what is the latest leak on FSD?
Well, I haven't heard of any leaks. I think there's a new version coming out. I've been testing 12.5.1.1 in San Francisco yesterday, and it was pretty stunning. It drove for 2 hours without any safety critical interventions, without any interventions at all. Um, the only reason I stopped is because I was tired of sitting in the car for hours. So it's like, wow, the ability of this thing to drive without intervention is starting to exceed my ability to sit in the car and record a video.
Grant, did you hear that?
Yep. I mean, to be expected. I mean, as it gets better, like the goal is to have it intervene once a year or something like that. So that's kind of where things are going to go.
So when are you getting your Tesla FSD?
As soon as it's a robotaxi.
All right. Hustletown, how are you?
Me? Doing pretty good. Just poured me a glass of white wine. I'm getting in the habit of whenever Tesla is red before this space starts, just buying a single share on top of what I already do. I think I'm going to enjoy that.
Nice. Mario, how's it going?
What's up, Yaman? Elon posting a lot about the politics today, getting ready to speak with Trump on Monday.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to talk about?
I think he's going to probably get to the debt. I think it's the most pressing problem we have now in the country, and I hope they get there personally. I'm not sure beyond that what they're going to be, what is going to be hitting. Maybe population impact and maybe what they might be doing together. He talked about possibly doing a meeting about a regular meeting with Trump about government inefficiencies, and he's talked about if he does that, he's really poking the bear, and they'll come after him hard if he tries to reduce the size of government.
Omar, what do you think they're going to talk about on Monday?
I don't really know, and I don't really care, to be honest. I'll definitely watch the video. Should be interesting, but I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened last night. We got the Cybertruck in Canada. We got the Cybertruck in Mexico. We've got this new FSD bundle that bundles supercharging, premium connectivity, and SNX for the SNX. We got the new Model 3 in Quicksilver and a bunch of other cool announcements. So I think they're gearing up for the end of the quarter here, as we're almost halfway through the third quarter now?
Yeah, we have a lot of news to cover over the last 24 hours. Let's go to XAI first. XAI. Okay, West 6, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna have to jump here in a
Good.
moment. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm meeting with the police department today at 1 o'clock and the fire department, and they want to look at the Cybertruck, but in part to understand how to review video. They had an incident not too long ago where a father and a mother who are divorced, they were exchanging their child, if you will, at a gas station, and something happened. I don't know what exactly, but they were pointing the fingers at each other, and the police were unaware that they could have looked at the video to, kind of find out more about what happened. And also, the fire department's going to look at the Cybertruck in terms of, can they cut us out of there with the jaws of life? And I understand they also have some kind of battery, some way to turn off the batteries to prevent a fire or maybe kill a fire in process. I'll learn a little bit more about that and report it next week. But I wanted to ask you guys real quick before I jump off. Do you have any suggestions of what I can tell the police of how, what they should know, or anything at all that might be helpful for this meeting?
Anybody on the speaker board? Okay, I guess we have no suggestions for you. I don't think anyone remembers the question, though, to be honest with you. That was too long-winded. Let me ask Grant, what's your suggestion for West 6?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, exactly. Mario, what's your suggestion for West 6?
I didn't get it either.
Yeah. Omar is acting like he's not here. XAI, what's your suggestion?
I don't have a suggestion for that particular question. And like
Yeah,
most have
because
said,
you don't understand the question. Here's the thing. People doubt my rules. They're like, oh, these rules are so that you feel powerful or in control. It's all these rules. We have a reason for these rules. It's because I know my audience. I know the speakers. I know every single person in and out. Not a single person in this space has a clue what you just said, Wessex. Mario.
I just want to say, Yaman, I was a little disappointed you were so nice in the last space. I'm glad to see the real Yaman is back.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I think I kind of understood what Wes was saying. If I had to make a suggestion, just let it. I don't know. My Model X came standard with a USB, but not every Tesla is going to have that recording if they don't have the USB. They'll learn that they need it to record vandalism and things of that nature, but it doesn't come standard as far as I know.
Well,
All
they
right.
do actually put it in all new cars now. They have for several years.
All right. Tesla, did you have your hand up? XAI.
yeah, I thought it was interesting the European rollout of the semi fleet. Has anyone in this group got more information on the size of that market?
Let's go to Just for Fun first.
I'm just going to talk about the Elon Trump interview. I don't know if you want to talk about that or.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically going back to that topic, since this interview will be viewed by millions, and in particular with the demographic that probably knows the least about EVs, namely conservative Americans. And yesterday Omar was in the Tesla Talk space. He was talking about how marketing and education is an issue with Tesla sales. And since there are people here who are followed by Elon or connected to speakers who are followed by Elon, I want to bring this up because I think it's an opportunity for Elon to set the record straight on EVs with millions of people. Because even now, if even though Elon's supporting Trump, if you listen to Trump's speeches or influencers in the conservative space, like Tucker Carlson and his Cybertruck video, they still spread a lot of false narratives about things like battery fires, range, and so on. And I know they're probably going to mainly focus on Trump's mainly Trump issues and free speech and things like that. But if people are able to help remind Elon that he has an opportunity here, if he can just spend some time trying to set the record straight on EVs, I think this is a unique opportunity.
All right. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a little bit tough because, obviously, if he was to really press Trump on some of these things he's been saying, oh, you can't take a long road trip in them. It's obviously just complete nonsense, right? So, I think you want to find a way to make those points, maybe encourage people to look more into it. But at the same time, I don't think he's necessarily trying to embarrass him by saying, oh, this is just complete BS what you're saying. But, hopefully he can find a way to communicate that, um, that, maybe will get at least a few people to open their mind to the possibility that these are just political talking points.
Grant.
Yeah, I just think the whole thing's really interesting. I will be curious to see if Elon treats it like an interview where he's almost in the position of an objective journalist, just probing, or if it turns into something where they're both kind of, bashing the other side, in which case I think it could be harmful for his public perception and the brand.
Just for fun.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Omar said. I think, if anything, you'd want Elon to be sort of trying to correct the record, or at least educate on the maybe 2 or 3 important points on EVs that maybe spread as false narratives, but keep in mind sort of Trump's various constituents, right? And so I think Trump has been saying that you don't want the EV mandate, which I think is fine, right? Like Elon could probably sort of concede on that and say that the goal is not necessarily like forcing people to have 100% EVs, but there are a lot of merits and there are things that Trump is saying that is incorrect, and you can have this sort of freedom. You can let the ICE manufacturers continue selling those, but there are these things that there are these areas where EVs do have advantages, and there are these areas where Elon can explain thoughtfully the correct facts.
I mean, you're assuming that Trump is saying these things because he actually believes them instead of playing politics. And you think a space is going to change that?
I think whether or not that's true, I think there's the opportunity for him, in this one-on-one public setting to sort of calmly, clearly state. And again, I don't think you should go out and try to list like, 10, 15 areas where Trump is, saying falsehoods or things like that. But, try to say, maybe focus on like 2 or 3 areas where, there's a false narrative being spread, focus on that, and admit maybe like, hey, maybe say like, yeah, we don't need a mandate. Maybe even say like, yeah, we don't like, Elon has said many times he doesn't think we need subsidies and things like that. And so maybe concede a few things, but try to, really at least set the record straight, set the facts straight where he can on like 2 or 3 key points.
Okay. Magic.
Hey, yeah, just on that topic. So Elon is Tesla, and Elon's going to be sitting down with Trump. So, I mean, a lot of people here are going to say that it doesn't hurt the brand image, but a lot of car buying is very political and it's not logical. It's not rational. Try getting someone that buys Ford to buy Chevy, right? People don't do this on a rational basis. In every car buyer has their niche, right? Like Jeep drivers have their people that buy their cars. So saying that, oh, people will just buy it regardless of politics or brand image, that's yet to be seen. People are not logical in that manner. They do these sort of purchases very emotionally. So that's something to consider.
Hey, sorry, it was coming in a little broken up. Are people expecting that the bulk of this interview will concern the EV industry? I was under the impression it was going to be a broader political chat and EVs might take a back seat.
Just for fun.
Yeah, I would say my assumption is that the focus is going to be, kind of talking about different political points, talking about Trump's, political views, and comparing him with Kamala. But sort of my reason bringing this up is my hope, with Elon as the CEO of Tesla, and this being again a unique opportunity, that he would find, some time to at least discuss, these EV issues and some of these misconceptions. If it's
Okay.
a few minutes out of an hour.
I think you made that clear though. Like you said that like 5 times.
Well, but
Can we
Grant,
move on from this topic? Like, why is this topic so important right now? You think your suggestions here are going to change Monday?
again, I would love it if people who have influence, who Elon follows, are able to, at least remind him, suggest the idea. Since again, there's millions of people listening.
Grant?
I was going to say, I do think it's a pretty big deal. I mean, Trump is a presidential candidate. We're in the run up to an election. I would be curious how many people might actually listen to this. It could be like 10 million plus people, and the media coverage that will almost inevitably come out of it is going to hit tens of millions more. I feel like it's going to be a pretty big story. I think it's worth talking about. I am not optimistic that they will have any substantive conversation around the EV industry, in part because I don't think that Trump is going to be asking or discussing any of that in depth. I don't think he's really going to like dig down into that. I would honestly expect the tone of the conversation to be a little more combative. I mean, if you think about Trump as a person who he's going to be, I don't know, on stage with, on a call with, whatever, Trump's not going to get into a nuanced discussion around subsidy structures and, foreign trade policy with him. It's just going to be bombastic.
Mario?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Grant overall on this one. I think it's going to be a very big deal. I think the market share that Tesla can most easily gain is the conservative side. If you look at the Tesla sales, obviously California, number one, not known for Republicans. And I really hope that they do talk about efficiency around government. That's Elon's core competency. He makes things simple and efficient. And I would love to hear him talk about taking our current government, Raptor 1 engine, kind of a cluster of complexity, and making it a Raptor 3 engine. I would love to see that.
All right, government efficiency, number one. Number two, correct a couple of the misconceptions on the EVs, correct the record on those. Anyone else who want to throw a penny into the wish pond? Magic?
Hey, following up on Mario's comment, I just wanted to ask him how that went for Bud Light when they tried to expand their market and pretty much disadvantage or pretty much slap the face of their customer base. The main thing is when a brand signifies something, it's hard to include other people without offending your core base. So didn't work out too well for Bud Light. Let's see how it works out for Tesla.
You're breaking up a little, Yaman, but if you haven't noticed, Elon breaks all the rules and has been very successful doing so. I look forward to more of the same.
All right, Richard? Richard? Grant?
Yeah, you listed a couple of topics and said wishing well. I mean, my prediction, maybe not wishing well, would be that they end up spending a ton of time just talking about the quote unquote woke mind virus and how bad all of that is. That's probably, in my mind, the biggest Venn diagram between the two. I don't know that Elon is going to have hot takes on like the Department of Education. I think that that's, if you look at his timeline and you look at what Trump talks about, the biggest source of overlap.
All right. Government efficiency, correcting misconceptions on EVs, and woke mind virus. Great. Let's change topics. Omar, I saw you posted a video on FSD 12.5.1.1 racing Waymo. How did it go?
Well, it wasn't a very good comparison. It was just a short 7-minute drive to dinner, and I had both the Waymo and the Tesla drive there. I didn't get a camera in the Waymo, unfortunately. I need to go get another GoPro. But basically both of them did it without any intervention. The Tesla got there about a minute sooner. The Waymo circled around the block so it could pull over on the side of the road where the restaurant is and let the passenger get out without crossing the road. The Tesla just kind of pulled into the middle area where the restaurant was. So, yeah, both did it without any interventions. Obviously, Tesla did it without any LiDAR or HD maps. So, I mean, it's just very impressive performance. I just had a video go live on my YouTube where you can see it driving through San Francisco for 2 hours. And I mean, this thing is getting very robotaxi like. I rode in a Waymo a few times yesterday, and it's interesting how you can see the wheel jerking more. You can see more harsh brakes, more sort of uncomfortable maneuvers in the Waymo compared to the Tesla with FSD. Now, of course, the Waymo never requires any interventions, and the Tesla sometimes can. You have to supervise it. But it really feels to me like they're starting to leapfrog Waymo. And I think you're going to be able to see that in the numbers as well in the coming year.
Michael, how
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Any observations on FSD this week? How do you feel about the rate of progress?
I mean, 12.5.1 looks like a significant improvement of over 12.3.6, which is unfortunately the software version that I'm still on because I have a hardware 3 car. Um, I I think we have to kind of wait and see how much of an improvement, like can it get too close to 1,000 miles before a disengagement in 12.5, or will we need to see that in 12.6? Right now, it looks like on the tracker, I think it's like somewhere like 400 or 500 for 12.5.
I don't think so. I think it came down a little bit. With every version, the first few rides seem to have high miles per disengagement, and then as it kind of expands, it declines. So that's why I told my patrons to wait until you get a few thousand miles registered in the FSD tracker. But we also have other news, which is the bundling deal. $5,000 for 3 years of FSD, supercharging, as well as premium connectivity. I'm going to get Omar's thoughts on that. But before that, this episode is sponsored by Joa Life. To get 5% off, use the code TSLA Live at the top of your screens. Omar, what do you think of this new bundling deal?
Yeah, this is really great to see, and I hope they expand it. The business of FSD isn't necessarily about robotaxi. Obviously, robotaxi is probably where most of the long-term value is, but it's really just about how much money they can make selling FSD. If people are willing to pay for an ADAS system, or they're willing to pay for a bundle that includes the ADAS system, and they're able to raise ASPs, that's all that really matters. So, I've said for a long time, they have so many sort of faucets to generate revenue from this, so many different things they could do, playing with the pricing to get the attach rate quite high. And they haven't really done a lot of it yet. We're seeing this introduced on the SNX now. I think it would make sense to even bring to the 3 and Y if it works out well. So now, you have the ability to buy FSD in full for $8,000, and then it's just activated on the car forever as long as the car stays running. You also have the ability to subscribe for $99 a month, and this bundle incorporates FSD, supercharging, as well as premium connectivity. So for 3 years, you get unlimited premium connectivity. You can, watch Netflix, you can get satellite maps, all that good stuff. You have unlimited FSD. So for 3 years, you can use FSD as long as you want. Great. And then you also have unlimited supercharging. So if you add up the value of subscribing to FSD for 3 years, that's about 3,600. You add up the value of premium connectivity, that's about 300. So it's about 1,100 for free supercharging. That adds up to about $1 a day. So unlimited supercharging for $1 a day, or $30 a month, and bundling it all together. So there's a few good things about this, right? I think the bundling aspect is powerful psychologically, right? Because there's a lot of people out there who say, I kind of want FSD. I don't know if I really want it, right? I'm probably not willing to pay for something if it's just for FSD. But if you tell them, hey, okay, well, we're going to give you unlimited charging and unlimited premium connectivity, and we're also going to throw in the FSD too, then they say, okay, maybe I'll do that. And, longer term commitments for subscriptions are like a beautiful sweet spot, right? Because you have the purchase where they have a huge amount of upfront cash flow, but then, FSD is just on their vehicle forever. As it becomes autonomous, you lose the ability to monetize that and maybe generate, tens of thousands of dollars in revenue because they paid 8,000 upfront. And then on the other hand, you have the subscription for $99, but users can cancel, and they cancel a lot, right? They churn a lot. People cancel for all kinds of reasons. I've heard people say, I'm going to cancel because I want the new software update that shows the weather in the menu bar, and I think I'll get it a little faster if I cancel my subscription. Or, hey, I'm going to cancel because I got a strike. I was using my phone too much. So in protest, I'm going to cancel, right?
Right.
And then, if you have them commit for 3 years, that's not an issue. So I think they should really explore these 1 year or 3 year subscriptions more, and this bundle is a really good way to do it.
Yeah. I pinned at the top of your screens my interview with Dirty Tesla Chris. It was a really, really good, informative interview. I thought, especially the second half of it. I highly recommend people watch the interview at the top, especially the second half. The memberships on YouTube and monetization is back on after a 1 week break. Members got a 1 week preview of this interview. The feedback from members was really, really good. And it was a very thoughtful. We kind of dug into quite a bit into FSD, Robotaxis, Optimus. It wasn't just about 12.5, although he had some really good comments on that as well. So for example, Chris said on 12.5, Omar, that it's going to lead to a material increase in the take rate. 12.5, the no steering wheel nag changes the experience quite a bit, and that he believes it's going to lead to a material increase in the take rate. And this was before Tesla introduced the bundling deal, which everybody seems to agree that this is a really, really great deal. So great that even Tom might get a Tesla and get FSD on it, right, Tom?
I'm looking forward to making a visit one day to a junkyard to pick up an old crashed out Cybertruck one of these days to see if I can put some Dana
Hey, Tom,
60 axles on it.
We need to, I want to get a date on the calendar today of Omar giving you a Cybertruck FSD ride in your oil field, on your oil field, going through the oil field with you, and I believe it was Matthew who wanted to join as well. So can we decide on, let's say, September 15, provided that Tesla sends FSD to Cybertruck?
Sure, it works for me.
Tom, how does September 15 sound for you?
Yeah, I'll have to look at the calendar. But if Matthew's going to go, I would be hard pressed not to accompany him. And we don't have to take both of our Super Duties down there, but we'll make sure we drive one of them down there, and maybe we can take turns, doing the Cybertruck versus Super Duty, and see how we roll.
Perfect. Yeah, we can have a race through the oil fields. FSD Cybertruck versus the Super Duty. I like that. Omar is down. Omar is ready. Omar is ready yesterday. We just need the FSD on Cybertruck. So if there's anyone on the FSD team at Tesla listening to this, or somebody, send FSD to Omar Cybertruck so we can have a race through the oil field in Texas. Love it.
Yeah, I would add Matthew. I saw him post earlier on X that he was at a Tesla dealer. He took his son to a Tesla dealer. He's walking around at the Tesla. I don't know what's going on, but I guess you have his attention.
Dude, we were at Tesla today and drove a Cybertruck, and it is unbelievably fast, like wildly fast. And the steering is very interesting. It took a second because it's very cornery, right? It's got some weird angles, but it doesn't take long to figure it out. And the Tesla store is like going into an Apple store. It's very cool place, and a lot of neat people there. I really enjoyed the test drive today. First one at the 290 store, because somebody on here, I think it was the Tesla Dallas guy, posted it on X, and I clicked the link and said, "Sure, I'll drive one." 10 o'clock this morning, boom, done. It was great.
That's awesome, Matthew. Which store did you go to?
The Tesla store at 290 in Cypress, Texas.
Nice. Did they have Optimus in there?
No, they didn't have an Optimus inside that store.
Okay, check. If you ever stop by Austin, there's a store in Domain. They have an Optimus in there. Check that out as well when you get a chance.
Okay, yeah, I totally will. But I tell you, the kids loved it. I brought my 2 kids and the onboard gaming, and they loved the emissions. They loved the emissions app on the screen that you could click. I mean, it was really fun.
That's awesome to hear. Tom, what's the gaming situation on your F-250?
The game situation.
Yeah, what kind of games you got on that?
This is built for doing work, not for playing around. So, but if you wanted to upgrade, you could. And not only that, there's actually a custom company here in Texas that will stretch your F-250 and put in a third row, so you can turn it into an excursion almost, and then you could put not only a gaming system in there, you could put basically a limousine luxury complimentary system in there to complement everything about the truck. But listen, look, if you want to play games while you're driving down the road, maybe younger generation, that's what they like, it's all right. If I didn't have to drive the truck, or if I could do something else, and Matt knows this, I'm going to be on the phone doing business, because that's all I do. I'm just on the phone 24/7, 365. I just, games for kids is great. If you've got kids, if they want to do that while you have your phone conversations, they can do their games with the headphones on. There's a market for that. I believe that. I know that, right? So they gotta keep on with that. But the Super Duty, not so much a family truck. It could be, but mine was built for work, straight up. Mine's a work machine.
All right. Well, you pick a couple of tasks to do on the oil field with your truck, and Omar will do it with his FSD. Am I over-promising here?
We need to do some trailer pulls, perhaps down the rocky, Caliche roads, and then maybe I want to test out those tires. Caliche roads have a history of eating up tires on trucks, and the Tesla Cybertruck is a little heavier, I think, than most vehicles pound on the tires, even though 3/4 ton, 1 ton diesels are also heavy as well. I'm just wondering about the wear and the maintenance. If you were to actually use these vehicles on a routine basis to do what we do every single day, what are the maintenance dollars really going to be, in a Apple comparison, if that is such a thing when you're trying to compare a
Okay.
ICE and an EV?
Tom, let me ask you one quick question before I go to Dallas. What percent of truck owners do you think in the US do the work that you do with their trucks?
If truck owners, if you're okay, I drive what's considered a heavy duty truck, not a medium or light duty. So if you exclude the F-150 and you
No,
just
don't exclude F-150. All pickup truck, right? We're talking about 3 million a year.
Yeah. Well, I think the
I think
F-250 is still the highest selling by volume truck in America, and most of those are fleet sales and they're for work. So I would agree that they're work applications primarily. If you look at overall sales, in fact, the F-150 used to be the highest selling vehicle in Venezuela too, until their country went to hell. But the F-150 has been the workers' truck for every American for decades now, and it's very, very apparent when you drive around any big city and you look on the side of these trucks, Enrique's Lawn Service or whatever. Man, you know how many of those are F-150s, even versus Dodge and Chevrolet. The F-150, the proliferation of the F-150 in America is something that's no other company has been able to even come close to, as far as I know.
well,
Really.
Tesla is on the way for sure. Dallas?
Yeah, Tom, I got a question for you. I mean, from just a normal driving standpoint, I know you spend most of your time driving in very rural, you said caliche roads and stuff like that. But just like any sort of commute driving that you do, would you benefit from being able to do work while you're commuting? I know you mentioned you're on the phone a lot. Is that something that interests you? Like that's
Yeah, I already do it. I put the phone on Bluetooth and I set it on the console, and they can hear me fine. I don't even have to use the Bluetooth accessory in the pickup truck, and all my work can be conducted via phone. I don't have to be on a computer to do my work. So I also drive a lot in Houston traffic. And let me tell you something about Houston traffic. You better be on your toes because people are popping out of everywhere. They're all over the place, and you better really be paying attention. And any more distraction besides being on the phone is probably too much in Houston traffic. You may end up plowing right back into behind someone, and that's not a good situation to be in. But
Yeah.
listen, I understand the idea of going on a 7-hour trip to Fort Stockton, Texas, too. And when you get past San Antonio, you can drive 85, 90 miles an hour. If I'm going 90 miles an hour down the road, I'm not sure if I want to trust the computer to take me 90 miles an hour down the road the whole time to where I'm going to fall asleep or get on a Zoom call or whatever that might be. And also, mind you, I'd probably be breaking the law as
Okay.
well. Something
Let's
else
see.
you need to take into account there if you're operating
Okay.
that vehicle.
Dallas, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like what he just mentioned. I mean, being on your toes and even a phone call could be stretching it in Houston traffic. Totally agree with that. I mean, Dallas, if not worse than Houston, people are crazy drivers here. So I think you're defining a perfect use case for FSD. I mean, currently we're in a supervised state for FSD, but in the not too distant future, we're going to be moving into unsupervised, and that takes away the need to be giving your full attention to the road, and then you could truly be doing more than just phone calls. You could be on Teams calls or whatever it may be.
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned you don't want to risk falling asleep and everything, but guess what doesn't fall asleep is AI and 8 cameras around your car. They don't even blink. They don't get tired. They don't get distracted while you're on your phone. They would be watching out for your life and the life of your loved ones. But we have
Yeah.
another Texan on the board right now. JC, what do you think?
What's up, Yaman? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. JC is a FSD tester in Texas. He's one of the more prominent testers.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I was listening in. I don't usually get to call in, dial in, or whatever we call it nowadays. But I've listened to the playback a couple of days. I really love hearing Tom and Matthew in the group. Tom, Matthew, I'm from Porter, New Caney area. If you take 59 East Tex Freeway up north, about 30 miles
Oh
north of
yeah.
Houston.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've been I've been in a Tesla now for about a year and a half. Um, Dipped my toe in really slowly, went all the way to the Model S Plaid, but I've loved it. And yeah, so I love hearing your perspectives. I definitely keep coming. I'm going to tell you right now, and you probably already gathered it. Yaman and Omar are two of the best stand up dudes. They definitely come from, they're going to bring a different perspective, but I'm telling you, they come with 100% integrity. They want to hear you. They really do. And so, keep coming into it. I was going to say, Matthew, yeah, the store on 290, that's actually where I got my Tesla. It's a great store, great staff there. So really happy to hear you took your kid over there to check it out. And the only thing, Tom, I will pick on you on one thing you said. You said that the vast majority of the trucks in Texas are where I'll tell you, when my wife sends me to the HEB in New Caney, Texas, the average person, there's probably 90% Ford F-150s and Chevy Silverados, and you know exactly who's getting out of the cab. It's a 5'3" lady who's going to the nail salon. You know that. I know that. So don't tell these folks it's all work. I get you. It's definitely a lot of Enrique's landscaping and stuff that you're doing, but the vast majority of the Ford F-150s and the Chevy Silverados and the Dodge Rams that are, inundated in a Walmart parking lot or HEB parking lot. It's a lady going to get her hair coiffed.
I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna do some of my own polling as soon as this cycle's over. I'm a little involved in politics, so excuse me for being distracted. But as soon as this is over with, I would love to confirm or deny your theory with my own field activity and polling. And now, hey, mind you,
I think you and I might get in trouble doing that poll, though.
Watch out! I got a degree in political science, and I've conducted polls before, so I'm dangerous.
That's awesome. But no, really, that was mainly a little more of a joke. But yeah, just really, really happy to hear y'all coming into the space. And like I said, Yaman and Omar, they just 100%, 110% integrity on this issue. They really, really do want to hear your perspective. Because let's be blunt, from a Tesla perspective, Tom, this is where the growth is probably, in the United States is going to be in our region, right? And Texas and the rest of the South. And so, yeah, they're going to need to hear from folks like you, right? So really big kudos to, being you and Matthew are in a population of 2 in this space probably right now. So I'm kind of a straddler, right? That's one of the reasons I wanted to call in is I feel like I could probably play a pretty good utility player between the two of y'all and the rest of the folks in the group, because I pretty much come from the same people that you two do, but I just happen to drive a Tesla.
This is what I take from your comments and kind of the general line of thinking is they built the Cybertruck to not replace a Super Duty diesel truck, but they built it to replace a F-150 grocery getter for people that occasionally need a cargo space in the back of their truck, and to get into that market per se, because they perceive that to be the market for the trucks, and that's the reason people have trucks. Am I correct?
What I would tell you is I think that's the ICE the F-150s right now. I don't think there's any difference between how the Cybertruck may be used as how any internal combustion engine truck is getting used right now. I think before the Cybertruck came on the scene, Tom, the vast majority of the trucks here in our state, and I tell these folks all the time, there's more Ford F-150s in the state of Texas than there are people. The only thing that's more voluminous than a Ford F-150 is guns in our state, right? So I think even before the Cybertruck, that the 90+% of the Ford F-150s and the Chevy Silverados are being used not to haul a damn thing other than some lady's iPhone that she's going to use for the next hour while she's getting her nails done.
Yeah, I would strongly disagree with that. And even kids that drive them in college are using them to move stuff around on a routine basis in fraternities. That's what we used ours for. We actually made use of our pickup trucks that we had there. Look,
Yeah, but when I'm talking to you,
pickup
I'm talking when
trucks
I
have
say
to make.
hauling, I mean like heavy
Yeah,
hauling. I'm not
I
talking
mean,
moving
using the
furniture.
bed. Yeah, I mean moving stuff that you would have to use nothing other than a truck to move. Is what we used it. We used it to move trailers with stuff for parties. Like anytime we would have big parties, we would make stuff out of plywood. All of our letters that we would carry around with us to rush events. All this stuff had to be moved around via truck. Party supplies, stuff like that. You're not going to
Are you
ship
an
that.
Aggie?
Yeah, you're damn straight. I'm an Aggie.
Damn, I knew it. I knew
Check
it.
my profile. So, listen, we use trucks for
Yaman, you got a
millions.
lot more to get over with Tom than
Listen.
just the Cybertruck.
Well,
You're never going to get
Really?
past Tom. Yeah, he's an Aggie. Yeah,
I don't even
they're
know what
still
you said. What is a
they're,
Aggie?
they're still trying to figure out the recipe for ice
So
over in Aggie land.
A&M stands for Agricultural and Mechanical College. It was the first land, space, and sea grant institution in America.
Oh,
Lord. Yes. I mean, if you want to go down this road about the excellence that we left behind there, and especially the history of the football team, I mean, I don't have I don't play football. Yeah, there's a guy out there that he's not so bad. Let me just add one thing to this conversation. So at the top of your screen is an article from 2015. This is an industry publication called The Drive. And the sentence follows. According to Edwards data, 75% of truck owners use their truck for towing one time a year or less, meaning never. Nearly 70% of truck owners go off-road one time a year or less. And a full 35% of truck owners use their truck for hauling, putting something in bed once a year or less. And the title of the article is you don't need a full-size pickup truck, you need a cab or custom. Let's get a couple other views. Jimmy and then Dallas. Yeah, I'm a truck owner as well. And I would highly suggest that article. It's the same thing. I use my truck like once a year to haul something. I use my truck to go off road more like once a year. Other than that, it's just a commuter vehicle. I was going to say this. I'm trying to actually get my neighbor to the space sometime in the future. He owns a roofing and siding company, and ever since he bought a Cybertruck, he has actually seen in the future. He owns a roofing and siding company, and ever since he bought a Cybertruck, he has actually seen an influx in his business because all he does is he'll drive around the city and stuff. And I asked him what he uses his truck for. He says, honestly, I just use it to go to job sites back and forth. I don't need to haul anything because everything just gets shipped to the house. And yeah, that's his business. That's his unique business of roofing and siding. But I would love to get him on here and have him talk about his like business numbers and what has changed since he bought that Cybertruck and got it wrapped.
Okay. Dallas, go.
Yeah, I see. I try to equate this to other vehicles, and everyone who buys a Cybertruck that's going to spend $100,000 on a truck is going to try to justify it in some utility way. But I don't even know why we need to go down that path. I mean, look at the new Lexus GX or a G Wagon or a Land Cruiser. People in cities want to buy a cool off-road looking car that has big knobby tires that will never see an off-road road in its entire life. Maybe once a year, right? But why does it need to? I mean, if you buy it because you like how it looks and it looks off-road and it looks tough, then that should be enough justification for ownership.
Okay.
And that's my thought.
One thing I wanted to mention, towing capacity. How much? I'm just going to throw this out there. I know how much it is, but how much do you think my F-250 can tow? And we all know the Cybertrucks tow 11,000 pounds, but how much do you think I can actually pull with my F-250?
Isn't that
I
rated
don't
for
know, but
10,000?
You rated to what?
Is it
yeah,
a
Tom, the, the,
10,000?
the point
No.
the point we're trying to make here is that 99% of people don't need that towing capacity. And obviously, as Tesla starts producing this vehicle in the first few years, they don't need to address that last percent.
Well, that's fine if they don't want to do the heavy duty stuff. But I think you'd be shocked at the reason why a lot of people buy the F-250 is to actually do heavy duty towing and to do stuff like tow horse trailers. So just to blow you guys away, and this is Ford, mind you, that lead best available conventional towing in its class. All right, you're going to have a lot of catching up to do if Elon ever decides to get inside of the heavy duty truck business, because right now the Ford F-250 can pull 37,000 pounds.
Okay.
37,000 pounds. That's gooseneck towing. So if you're hooked up to pull a gooseneck, you can pull 37,000.
Okay. I mean, like I said, 99% of people don't care.
Yeah, I agree that 99% of people are not pulling goosenecks or whatever the hell that means. The Tesla can do all the truck stuff that Tom's talking about, except maybe pull a horse trailer 200 miles. And I just wanted to comment also, Tom, you raised maintenance a few times. And, I don't know if anybody's told you, but EVs have almost no maintenance. And the body is built out of stainless steel that's bulletproof. So I don't.
Trevor got cut off. Omar, anything to add to the?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. And there's certainly extreme use cases where a gas or a diesel truck is just going to be more convenient than an electric truck. But a sale is a sale, right? A truck is a truck. You don't get any points for selling to a truck guy, right? When they report auto sales, they say, "Hey, we sold you know, this many F-150s and this many actually used it for real truck stuff, quote unquote." A sale is a sale. So, I think everybody could use a truck. It's really nice to have a truck. And this is the first truck I've owned. You know, my roommate was moving out. We needed to move a couch. Great, we got a truck. Hey, we're going on a road trip. Oh, it's a big, comfortable vehicle. Everyone's stuff can fit in. Hey, everyone, the family is going on an international trip to the airport. They got a bunch of suitcases. Throw it in the truck, right? So a truck is a truck. You sell it to someone, whether they want to use it for, their landscaping business or they want to use it as a commuter car, a grocery getter, doesn't matter. They'll sell it to somebody else and that person can maybe use it for something else, right? It's a truck that's out there that's in the world, it's been sold. And the reality that a lot of people don't want to admit is it can do almost everything that you want to do. Like if I have a boat and I want to tow that boat out 30 miles to the lake and back, absolutely charge up your Cybertruck and you can tow that boat to the lake and back. And you can come home and plug in and never have to stop and get fuel. And it's way better in many ways and handles almost all of the common use cases, towing, hauling, whatever, just as good or better than a gas truck. So I think, just listening to Tom talk, he's saying, oh, EV's so terrible.
Better
But
than
then
a gas? No, not better. No way. It's not better based off of the fact that you can't climb mountains for miles and miles without dying, the battery dying when you're pulling heavy weight. It's not better in case your tires slip at the boat ramp and you put that thing in the water, it's toast. Not to mention, fried, good luck with the insurance claim on that. Unlike a F-250, you can literally back into the water, into salt water. Like there's many such cases. I mean, it's fun to listen to y'all pontificate without actually having real world experience using trucks like I have my entire life. I've been using them to pull boats around the Gulf Coast. I've owned many boats, large boats, small boats. You know why? One reason I bought my F-250 to begin with is because I had a 22-foot bay boat at the time, which was extremely heavy. It was an older bay boat. and I wanted to pull it with an F-250 because I knew that it was more towing power than I actually needed, but I didn't want to burn out the transmission overnight in an F-150. It's called, you buy more truck than you need to pull stuff. That way you don't tear your shit up. All right. I mean, this is a smart thing to do. And so, there's limits on anything that's mechanical, and you can tear the transmission of a Cybertruck up just as fast as anything else. I promise you.
It doesn't
And
have a transmission.
oh, you'll tear it. You will kill it, and it won't be able to move. All right. You will be.
Well,
You will
look, you know,
put that
I
truck in a
I'm sure
situation
you're
where it
like,
won't move.
I know the,
And
the
Whistler
F.
and Diesel has already done this. I mean, I could do it too. Just give it to me.
I mean, the F-150 and the F-250 are great trucks. I'm not trying to say they're not great trucks. Hauling, 30,000 pounds sounds incredible. But at the same time, there are certain things that electric is better at. Not having to go get fuel, the volt on the Cybertruck that you can open and close, the fact that you don't have a transmission that can get messed up. You don't have oil changes. You don't have maintenance that you need. You can keep the air
Yeah, you
conditioner
do.
running.
When
You
the
can power
tires work
stuff out of the
forever?
back.
You're telling
There's
me
a
the
lot of
tires work
advan
forever? Come on.
there's a
So you're
lot of
trying to
advan
say there's no maintenance at all? That's bullshit. Come on. Don't give me that.
Go check out Consumer Reports list of the lowest cost of maintenance on cars. It's EVs. They don't have any parts that need to be maintained. So like this
Oh,
is the
tires don't have to be maintained?
No, of
What is
course you have to
this?
change the
Well,
tires. Yeah.
hello. That's part of the vehicle, is it not?
Yeah, of course.
Don't you admit that they actually tear up tires quicker than ICE vehicles? That's a fact.
They do, yes, but
Yeah, so you
they have
actually
the
have
low
to
I
spend
mean, go
more on
check out Consumer
tires.
Reports.
So
Low
you spend more on tires. Go ahead and admit this now, because it's a fact. You spend more on
I mean, yeah,
tires
you
as
spend
an EV
more on
vehicle
tires,
owner
but it's got the
than
lowest
someone that
cost of
drives an ICE vehicle. That's one reason owning an EV is a luxury item.
I mean, you spend more on tires, but it's the lowest cost of maintenance overall, right? So there's all kinds of parts that you have to maintain on an ICE cart that don't even exist on an EV. So I mean, this is the crazy thing just listening to Thomas. He's very anti-EV, but then when I actually listen to him talk about his day-to-day work, I go, "Oh my God, he would love a Tesla." Right? He would love, he's like, I'm putting this thing
It
through
would
all
be
kinds of
tore up in
stuff.
2 seconds,
How's the
man.
maintenance going to be? Well, the maintenance would be great. He's saying, well, when you're driving around, you got Houston, you got these crazy drivers. I'm thinking, oh my God, he would love FSD. Right? So there's really, I think, this huge untapped market of people who this is just anathema to them for them to drive an EV. But then you actually listen to them talk and you're like, oh, this would have huge benefits for them. So I think if we can break into this market, there's a chance of really setting off a viral phenomenon, just like EVs became sort of this viral phenomenon on the left where people are telling their friends, the friends are seeing it, the friends are then going and buying. As we start to get a little bit of penetration into this market, I think it'll set off a viral phenomenon potentially, just with people showing their friends, seeing what FSD can do, seeing what the software is like, the ability to turn on the air conditioner from your phone and get into a cool car every time. The little things like that we're all
You know
used
who
to.
I see
The
buying the
phone as a
Cybertruck?
key. hmm
I see like younger Forerunner owners trading in their Forerunners for Cybertrucks. Okay, I see that happen. I don't see like tons of working class guys telling their employer, "Man, we should get rid of those fleet of F-150s we got out there and get a bunch of Cybertrucks." Yeah, man, that's the way to go. I don't see companies doing that.
I mean, if you
I
look
just
at,
don't.
for
It's not happening.
example, like government fleets and large fleets, like police officers, they're all going to Teslas for the reasons we're talking about. Super low maintenance, no fuel. You can just put them through hell for these jobs where you're driving all the time. And I mean, if they can get the Cybertruck out at 60K and have the standard range version, it's super durable, super low maintenance. I think that a lot of people, a lot of fleets will just look at the dollars and cents and say, hey, I may not even want to drive one of these for myself, but the savings for my business would be immense.
That's like 3 times as much though as the cost for a fleet vehicle from the dealer. If you're buying like 100 F-150s, you can get them for like a little over 20 grand a pop if that's what you're buying. So you're going to pay 3 times as much for a vehicle, and then what's the lifespan of that vehicle? Now, what most people do is they lease fleet vehicles. They don't actually purchase them as well. They lease them and then they turn it back in because you can write off total cost of the lease on your business. Am I not wrong, Matt? I don't know if Matt.
Well, you can get it. You can get into the depreciation side of things, and you can write off a lease right away. Obviously, I think the weight of the Tesla truck would meet the IRS 179 accelerated depreciation that would qualify, but a lot of people do lease. The one thing that I want to say is very fascinating driving the Tesla or the Cybertruck for the first time. It's a very surreal feeling because it's quiet. You don't hear any noise. And the steering wheel is very unique because I'm used to driving my truck and you're driving down the road and you can put your knee up and you can't really do that with that truck. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like driving the future. I'm not sure how to describe the feeling. Boys, what did y'all think about the Cybertruck?
Let's go to JC. Oh, there you go. There you go. We always welcome speakers of all ages. Matthew, that was really nice. JC.
Yeah, Tom, I got a question for you and a comment. I guess the question would be is, have you actually been inside a Tesla and maybe even specifically a Cybertruck? Yeah, just to sit in it. And something tells me that you're like a couple of my cousins.
I have.
Okay, so you're probably like my cousin Ray. He's like, yeah, I'll get in it with you, but turn that damn camera off.
No,
you don't want to be seen on camera.
I've taken an Uber Tesla before because it was just there on the app, and I was like, okay.
You've actually driven one? You've actually driven Tesla?
No, I haven't. I haven't driven them. No.
So you have not driven it. Okay. The comment I had is, what are your thoughts on the electric fracking spreads that are proliferating their way into the Eagle Ford and the Permian and Utica and Bakken? Yeah.
Well, you know where that electricity comes from. It doesn't come out.
Well, yeah, I'm not asking about where the electricity's coming from. The fact that it is electric.
No, whoa, let's back the truck up. Let's back the truck up. Why doesn't it matter where the electricity goes? You know what these people have, and Matthew is in the business. It's called a portable power plant, and we burn hydrocarbons.
So that couldn't charge a Cybertruck, huh?
Oh, no. We burn hydrocarbons on location to make that electricity so we can use it on location is what we're doing there. And it's more efficient way to bring down the cost of drilling and completion. And that's the reason we do it, because we're about efficiency. But in order to make that electricity, don't get it twisted, we're burning the fuel on location as opposed to before we were burning diesel, which was trucked in.
Yeah, I'm not debating you. I mean, I honestly, I think you have some great points on the generation side. I'm speaking specifically of, you've mentioned the Eagle Ford Shale specifically in Permian, and obviously we got the Marcellus over to the northeast and the Bakken up north in North Dakota, and the electric frac spreads that are being better. That's where they're all going. At least my clients are all going to electric frac spreads, and we're talking about immense horsepower. So when you're talking about, you were talking about, there's no way you could have enough horsepower to haul with I was like, dude, they're literally going, they're drilling down miles and shaking hands with Satan himself with electric frac tanks.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Actually, they're making it to where we can get oil and gas out of the ground cheaper, so we can continue using oil and gas at a cheaper.
Well, how do you get oil and gas out of the ground? You got to go shake hands with Satan. It's not, you can't just kick your heel into the soil and oil.
What are you talking about, dude? Like, this hyperbole is nonsense. Okay, listen, we do that so we can burn more fossil fuels on location, which puts lots of your CO2 that you hate and greenhouse emissions straight into the atmosphere. All right, and this is another thing. All the electricity you're using to charge your vehicle, a lot of it's coming from natural gas power plants. You're just not seeing emissions come out of the vehicle. The emissions are still there, people. It's a fact.
No, that's incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect.
It is. I will tell you why.
Oh my God! What do you think natural gas power plants run on?
I will.
Pixie dust? Unicorn urine?
Tom.
What do they run on? What does a natural gas power plant run on? Please tell me.
Okay, Tom. If you took the entire fleet today and moved the power generation from the engine of the car to the source that you're talking about, to let's say even a natural gas plant, you would still dramatically reduce emissions in the world. This is a fact. So what you cited as fact before is simply false. This came up in yesterday's space as well. And it was your first time, and I want to kind of give you some leeway
That's
over it. But
false.
some of these things, no.
You were just making the statement that power in Texas is not produced using hydrocarbons. That's what you were
No,
trying to
that's
say.
not what I said.
Oh, yes.
What I said
That's
is,
exactly
Tom,
what you said, because
no,
electricity on the grid, sir,
no.
electricity on the grid in Texas is created using hydrocarbons. Now, you may
Okay,
not like
Tom,
that, and you may want to pretend like that's not the case, but guess
Tom,
He's
what?
not denying that.
It is.
Tom, you can't do this. This
So
is completely
hydrocarbons
unacceptable.
are used to fuel EVs, people. That is a fact. Hydrocarbons are used to fuel EVs.
Incorrect. You're
You
not
are
even
insane. This is
you're
where
not even
this is where you are
Tom.
not connected with reality.
Tom,
Are you triggered now?
I'm not triggered, but I will not allow you to spread misinformation. You're welcome to stay here and share your views, but you can't share falsehoods. That I will not allow. Okay. Omar, go ahead. Omar. Omar, go ahead.
Yeah, most people in the space probably know this, but it is true that some fossil fuels are used to generate electricity. But even if you powered an electric vehicle 100% by coal, then it would still generate less emissions than a gas car because the EV drivetrain is inherently more efficient. It's just a more efficient technology. It uses less energy to move. Like you may notice when you're sitting stopped at a red light, your gas engine's still going. It's still burning a little bit of gas. With the EV motor, it doesn't use any energy when it's stopped there. So it just uses a lot less energy as a propulsion technology. When you slow down, the EV motor is able to sort of spin in reverse and gather that energy that it uses to slow you down magnetically and charge the battery. So that also is something gas cars can't do. They can't reclaim energy as they're slowing down. So that's why even if powered 100% by coal, then you would still see less emissions coming from an EV. Now, in reality, EVs aren't powered 100% by coal. Most of coal generation has now moved to natural gas. Natural gas is our biggest source of power today, but you also have renewables, solar, wind, nuclear. They don't generate any emissions. Renewables, in particular, are growing a lot. And over time, the grid keeps getting cleaner and cleaner. The amount of emissions used to generate a kilowatt hour of power keep falling. So you keep charging that same EV, it's going to get cleaner and cleaner over time. The gas car is going to get dirtier and dirtier over time. So you're not just moving the emissions. Even just moving the emissions would be great because we'd be moving the pollution out of our cities somewhere else. But you're not just moving it, you're also dramatically reducing it.
So you are moving the emissions, number one. And I never said that they weren't reduced. You can go back and play the tape. Okay.
Here's what you said. You said that the emissions are still there, implying that we're not making any progress. We're implying that we're not making any progress, and that is false. And you said that, repeated that many times in the last space. And I'm trying to give you leeway. But if you take advantage of it, this can't continue.
Okay, listen, brother. I'm not here to spread misinformation. I'm here to tell the truth. And about the F-250 regenerating, those emissions still come out, even though you have an EGR DEF system that was mandated by the state of California. It comes out when you regenerate the vehicle. It goes through it automatically. So you're just taking those emissions and storing them up, and then they all get released at the same time. If you don't believe me, go Google F-250 regen and watch videos of these things regenerating. They can regenerate anywhere. It doesn't matter if they're parked on Rodeo Drive or in front of the mayor's house. It will still regen. All right. So you are, in fact, that is technology that is ruining vehicles. And if you don't believe me, go talk to any master mechanic in America that deals with DEF systems, and they will explain to you how this technology has destroyed ICE engines on purpose, especially diesel trucks, which are used to transport the goods to the grocery stores, which, mind you, inflation has affected tremendously. So these policies have ruined America that are here to destroy the traditional way of life. All right. This was introduced by radical leftists in California. This is real. This is not fake.
Yeah, I will tell you that with my audience, the way to build credibility is not what you're doing. You're just spreading
Really,
falsehoods.
it's too bad that you're choosing to attack me now based off factual data. This is all factual what I'm
Yeah.
explaining to everyone. It is.
Incorrect.
It's too, oh, really? You should bring
Yeah.
Nuance Pro up here. You should bring anyone else that's requesting to speak. You should bring Zaganol up here.
Tom, this is like, I feel like
go ahead and pipe up.
here's the mistake you're making. You're thinking that this audience thinks that this is a debate. This is not a debate.
No, I'm informing people.
Every single person,
facts.
literally every single person in this space right now knows the half of the stuff that's coming out of your mouth is just completely false.
Wow.
I guarantee you. I know my audience.
Liar. Okay,
I don't need to. I don't need to tell you these
hearing it
things.
for years and years and years.
Yeah,
and years.
this has been going on for a decade.
Be specific now about your claims about my false claims. If you want to be specific, I'll entertain specificity. You're not being specific at all. All right.
I can ask one person. Any person on the speaker board right now to come up with one falsehood that you said in the last 2 days.
Go for it.
They will come up with their own.
Ask Matt.
JC, go ahead.
Yeah, Tom, you're kind of coming in hot, brother. I think what Yaman's trying to do is provide a venue to listen. Because
Where's the lie?
Tom, come on, man.
He's calling me a liar.
He's not. He did not.
He said 50% of the stuff coming out of my mouth is not true. He's calling me a liar.
Tom,
hold on.
Coming in hot. You're not holding up Aggie land proud like right now, brother.
I'm not defending myself against someone that's calling me a liar. Now I know you don't.
Nobody's calling you a liar. What I'm telling you is that stuff that's coming out of your mouth is false. Lie would have an intention. I don't think you're intending to spread misinformation. I just think that you're misinformed. Okay. And you're welcome to stay, but it has to be with the intention to reach a better truth. So you can't cut people off. You can't talk over people. You already have more talking time in this space today than literally anyone else in this space. I'm giving you a lot of leeway. John Lee.
Yeah, just 2 points of information. My family comes from the Williston Basin, the Bakken Formation. There's been 3 coal power plants built during this build out of the tight oil play in the Bakken. So there's lots of coal plants being installed to produce oil production. And then also there's 800 gigawatts is the current capacity per year of PV. So that produces each year we add 5% of our current electrical capacity in photovoltaic. So the growth there far eclipses what EVs use for transportation.
So I wanted to say that it might be true that a Cybertruck can pull less pounds than a diesel truck. But if you add the amount of pussy you can pull, then the Cybertruck can pull more.
Dallas.
Yeah, I think we veered off onto the deep end here in politics, and a lot of times what happens in that conversation is people get hot. And I think if we veer this back to Cybertrucks, that'd be great. So my point I want to make on the Cybertruck was, I don't think the goal of Cybertruck is to right out of the gate go after the F-250 market. I mean, I know Tom knows that better than anyone, but I don't think that's the immediate, targeted group to buy these things. So there's millions of people that want to have one, A, because it's cool, B, because it's a Tesla, and C, because it's kind of a little bit of a statement piece. Like I said earlier, the G-Wagon, people buy these things. Sure, they're capable of being off-road, but it's just a cool, it's just a cool truck. I don't see why that's a problem.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I maintain it's a luxury item. I agree with the last speaker all the way on every point he made about that. I mean, I've maintained it's a luxury item. They're not here for fleet sales. They're not here for volume sales. They're not putting a dent in F-150 sales. And until they start doing that, they're not going to be able to compete in that arena.
Oh my God. Okay. Tom, I'll give you a list. Okay. So first of all, yesterday you said Ford has self-driving too. Literally every single person heard that sentence yesterday and laughed. I guarantee you. Okay.
It's too
You
bad.
said
It's
today,
bad.
you said today and yesterday that you're just moving emissions from, the engine to the plant. Omar just explained to you why that is false, that there's a mischaracterization of the reality. You said today that most people do work stuff with their trucks. That is also false. And the article that's unbiased, The Drive, an industry publication, did a study, and that's at the top of your screen. You can read that as well. So a
Most
lot of
trucks
things
are
like this is
driven
just off
are.
this is just off the top of my head, and you've cut off literally every single person in my space. That is also not okay. But you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity here to go on a Cybertruck plus FSD ride with Omar in a few weeks here, and I think you will change your mind. I hope you will change your mind. But until then, you're welcome. It's just you have to abide by the rules of the space. Tom.
Yeah, most trucks, listen to my words carefully. Most trucks in America, that includes fleet sales, that includes government fleets, that includes every truck in America, are used for work applications. Okay? That includes 18 wheelers, that includes any truck on the road. Yes, that is a correct statement. And mind you, people that own trucks use them to haul at least once a year. Well, if they weren't doing that, they wouldn't need a truck. Now, it may only be once a year. You say, oh, well, they could just go rent one. No, they didn't. They decided to purchase that truck so they could use it once a year to go haul their boat or whatever. There's a reason they had the truck. Okay? So, it's getting used. Now, you may not like the statistic, but it's still getting used for that reason. It was the primary purchase for purchasing the vehicle. That was a reason for doing that, right? So I know you might not like it, but the Cybertruck itself, its appeal, just like that previous speaker said, it's a luxury item, and it's going to remain that way for some time until they start having multiple models and models that are much more heavy duty and models that have better ranges. It's just you're going to have to prove that technology.
Tom, let me ask you something. First of all, let's clarify something. Dallas, do you think Cybertruck is a luxury item?
I think the current version of it being the Foundation series is, but the long term, no. I don't. I see it becoming a practical truck, just like every other truck in the market.
Okay. Tom, question for you. When do you think the Cybertruck will outsell the F-150 in the US?
Well, I don't know, man. Probably not in my lifetime.
Okay, I'll make a coffee bet with you that it'll happen by 2030.
Wow. What's the wager? We're Nuance Pro. We got to get you up here. I've got too many wagers with these peoples over EVs. It's time for Nuance Pro to take part in this as a honest third party.
I'm bringing Nuance Bro up here, but we have a deal, a coffee bet. By 2030, Cybertruck will outsell the F-150, okay? Do we have a
Yeah, there's no way the Cybertruck will outsell every F-150, including fleet vehicles. And you want to talk about, we can talk about global, worldwide. So go ahead and throw that in there. No way, impossible.
90% of Ford's F-150 sales are in the US. I mean, if you want to do global, I'm happy to do so, but that only helps my case. I just want to keep it.
Go ahead. You know how many F-150s were sold last year?
I do. Do you?
Okay, how many? How many Cybertrucks were sold? And you're saying that they can make up that delta by 2030? That's in 6 years. You're either going to be selling more F1 or more Cybertrucks and F150.
Tom, they just started the Cybertruck production. They can't even produce enough yet to do that. Like,
well, yeah, that's why
Yeah, Tom.
I'm making the bet that it's impossible. He's saying by 2030
Tom.
it's going to be happening.
Well, 2030
Tom,
they'll have the ability to.
Yeah, your buddy needs to abide by the rules of the space, just like you, Tom. Tom, there won't be Ford by 2030. What do you think about that one, Tom?
Think about what Ford trucks? They're going to have Ford trucks on the road, Cybertrucks. Great. I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, get after it. But they're not going to replace the F-150 cells by 2030. It's physically impossible, as Nuance Pro had just chimed in and tried to explain.
Well,
that's why.
Nobody made it. Okay. So do we have a deal that Cybertruck will outsell the F-150? I mean, why am I having difficulty trying to get one sentence bet with you?
There is no way the Cybertruck will outsell F-150 cells by 2030. It's physically impossible.
I'll write it down while Nuance Pro speaks, and then Machine.
Yeah, Tom, I didn't agree with your point. I was countering your point, actually. My point is they're early in production right now. They'll have the capacity to produce. I mean, people said this about the Model 3 as well, and then it became, they sold more of that than I think any other car. So they could definitely do it with Cybertruck. I also think because Cybertruck is so unique as an EV pickup that, like you have all these other pickup trucks, Ram, Ford, people will, the truck market is on that front is more fractured, I guess. So it would kind of distribute more across different categories. Whereas Cybertruck, it's just, that's what they got. It's one. And I could see it outselling for sure. I'm not saying it's a guarantee at all, but did you guys see Tucker Carlson's? He did like a Cybertruck special.
I'll be happy to take all of your money, by the way. Just let me know.
That's fine. But did you see Tucker Carlson's special?
We have
because he's kind of like, anti-EV and all that, but they did a special and they took this guy from like rural Maine who regularly drives a truck and everything and gave it to him for a week. And he said it does everything he needs and it's great and awesome. So,
okay, good. Now, Tom, the bet is at the top. Just confirm that you agree with the wording. It's very simple. It should be an easy layup, yes. But we'll wait for your confirmation since we had a bit of a wording issue with Omar's bet the other day.
Yeah, there's no way the Cybertruck outsells the F-150. There's just no way.
I mean, we understand your position, but if you say it 20 more times, it's not going to change the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate for y'all. I know y'all like to believe you can fly, and touch the sky and all this, and it's great. I love the positivity that y'all have. It's a very positive group of people here. But I live in reality land. And in reality, it's not going to happen. I think Nuance Pro probably knows that deep down inside. That's probably why he won't make a cash bet with me on it right now.
No, I actually just don't know.
Okay. Machine gun.
Tom is absolutely right. It's physically impossible for the Cybertruck to outsell the F-150. It's physically impossible because F-150 owners are 5 feet tall max, and they can't actually reach into a Cybertruck bed because of the triangular structure. Physically impossible, and that's why I bring to you Joe Life's new product, a chairlift for F-150 owners who want to move to a Cybertruck.
Plug the code in there.
I mean, there might be some truth to that, considering how many Guatemalans we've let come across the border illegally driving F-150s. There could be some truth to that. I'm not going to lie.
Jason.
Yeah, I want it to go on record that Tom would rather see union jobs be preserved in the state of Michigan for the Ford F-150, and that he hates the state of Texas where the Cybertruck is manufactured. So, Tom, I'll make sure that that everybody is fully aware
Is that
that.
what I said, or did I just state the facts that it's physically impossible? Now, I'm not saying that they're not a positive group of people that are, here for the right reasons. All of Greg Abbott's, tax incentives that he gave them to come here, right? There's no reason they came here for those. But that's great and all. Let's not mention that though. But listen, I wish this guy the best. He's going to bring.
We have a lot of people. We have a lot of people requesting to speak, so let's go through the points real quick.
Yeah, earlier we were touching on utility of trucks in general, and granted, my sample size is a little skewed. I'm in the heart of Dallas, so there's a lot of city slickers, if you will, here. But I've seen no less than 15 trucks on my drive back to the office here in the last 5 minutes, and not a single bed of any of those trucks had one thing in them. So I think going back to what we talked about, 90% of truck owners don't use it as a truck. It's just a commuting vehicle for them.
Yeah, that's what I see in Austin as well. Edward.
Hey, yeah, after driving the truck for about 3 months, I have some input that I think you guys are not really considering. This isn't trucks versus trucks. This is going to pull a massive amount of SUV buyers away from buying an SUV. This is like a luxury SUV with the utility of a truck and the speed of a sports car. It's not a truck. I mean, until people get their head around that. Come on.
Nuance.
Yeah, so I just took a look at how many F-150s are sold annually. It's like what's over 700,000 or so. I'm kind of leaning more towards Tom's position here that by 2030, I don't think they're going to be at a run rate of over 700,000 Cybertrucks per year. I could see 300 to 400,000, but I don't know about over 700,000. So the only way I could see this maybe happening is if they do cannibalize enough.
Sir, you're wrong. You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
Here's a false. No.
My opinion.
Listen, this is not an opinion. It is false. You said Ford sold more than 750,000 F-150s. That is false. And when someone makes a false statement in my space, that is not okay.
What's the number? I'm just Googling.
That's F-Series. Do you know the difference between F-150 and F-Series?
Let me check. I mean, I know the difference, but I'm just gonna try to check.
Well, it doesn't sound like it.
Okay, like I'm a Tesla fan. I don't know why you're like being like.
I don't care if you're a Tesla fan or a sports fan. You start to be a Tesla fan.
Over the past 3 years, Ford averaged around 900,000 F-150 sold per year. That's what I'm reading.
Well, you're reading about.
Can you tell us the correct number? Like, what's the correct number?
I just told you, 750,000 F-Series trucks in 2020.
What's the F-150 number you're saying we're getting? Well, what's the
F-150 is less than 90%.
He doesn't have a number. He doesn't have a number. Less than 90%?
Yeah, because you had F-250, F-350.
Yeah, so that's okay. So what's the real? What you're saying is what, 650,000? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying. Decline. Have you been watching the sales per year?
So you're not going to actually give us a number.
You said they sold more than 700,000, and that's false. And correct.
So tell me the number. Tell me the number.
You should say thank you. I will not make that mistake again. That's what you should be saying right now.
How about you tell us the number? I gave one. You give us one.
You gave us a wrong one. I didn't give you a wrong one.
You're not giving us any number. What the fuck, dude? Come on.
Omar.
So, in 2023, 750,000. 2022, 653,000. 2021. No one says that's wrong. You said all F-Series. This is for F-Series, yeah. They don't break out F-150. We can look at S&P Global. We'll build the registration data, but just for F-Series, 653,000.
F-150.
F-120. 6,000 in 2021, 787,000 in 2020. It was about 900,000 before that.
Hold on.
Oh, they are at lower levels than they previously were.
F-150, 573,307 in 2023.
Okay, with that number.
Nuance. You should just mute yourself.
No, I appreciate it.
Be ashamed.
I'm just going
to. Some shame.
Did you
No, he needs to say he is, and let me understand. There's reasons why we had supply chain issues, but that year it was still the best.
I don't care what your reasoning is.
Oh,
I don't
no,
care what your
that's not.
You are
What you
wrong.
want to the
You're
news.
wrong.
It's not bringing
Okay.
actual information.
Listen, here's a fact. Here's a fact that you clearly don't know. Here's a fact. Here's a fact that you ever since ever since the Cybertruck unveiled in November 2019, every single year, F-150 sales have gone down. Did you know that?
Did you know that we had a thing that an event in the world unlike any other disrupted the supply chain of all auto manufacturers and all auto manufacturers?
Well, Tesla has been growing sales.
Well, yeah, because it started zero, bro. Hello. I mean,
I know because our sales were zero in 2019.
You don't have a model cell ever and you introduce something new to the market. It's a new cells. Okay, let's just not be stupid. Let's use some common sense today.
Machine.
Yeah, Ford outside, outselling the Ford F-150 would be an extremely tall order. It definitely seems unbelievable, but the assumption that they're going to stay flat at 750,000 units for the last 6 years doesn't really hold with the sales record of the last few
6 years doesn't really hold with the sales record of the last few years where they've generally been in decline. Now, they did see a little bit of a bump recovering from the pandemic, but I think it would be an electrification actually accelerate that downtrend. So they're really going to probably meet in the middle somewhere rather than, F-150 saying flat for 6 years.
Machine.
I know I came late. Maybe I missed it, but why is the F-150 so much better than the Cybertruck? Is it because it goes vroom vroom?
No, it's because it's the best.
We have other hands. Shadani.
Okay, I'm going to digress because I've been listening to you guys for a little bit, so I hope you don't mind. I think there's a differentiation between the discussion of the Cybertruck's applications and who that fits, and various applications of the gas or diesel powered vehicles. And something that I found very telling was when Tom was talking about my truck can pull 37,000 pounds on a gooseneck. And the response was whatever that gooseneck thing is. I find that comment very telling because, like I said, I'm a retired iron worker. I had my fifth wheel, my dually. I traveled from state to state, job to job, my welder in the back. Until the Cybertruck has a myriad of accessories like the ability to put a flatbed on it, the ability to withstand the electromagnetism of a welder on the back running and going from job to job without having to stop and recharge while you're on the clock. I don't think that's being factored in. Time is money. And if you got to stop and charge in the middle of a work day, okay, then you're losing thousands of dollars a week. And as far as towing capacity, something that hasn't been discussed is wheelbase versus weight versus torque. And all those factors have to come into play here. The Cybertruck would have to be re-engineered. Now, somebody said something that was extremely valuable just a minute ago, and how it's going to affect the SUV market. And I think that's the market. I think there's room for everybody to play here, and there's room for everybody to be right and a little bit wrong here. But there is I don't see with the cost of having to build the thing, because a lot of times we hear the proponents for electric vehicles, they often don't factor in the diesel it takes to get everything out of the ground to create the vehicle itself, and the weight of the vehicle and how that's because it's so new. Tom brings up a valuable point. COVID definitely
killed the economy, killed our industrial portion, our progress as a nation. And I don't see the companies I used to work for buying 10 or 12 of these things, ripping the beds off them, equipping them with torches, welders, tanks, all these things, and then releasing them to a bunch of grungy guys that just got pulled out of the union hall, or they just hired from in front of Home Depot or wherever they got them. Okay. So I think there's a realistic argument to be made. I'm going to do a little bit of studying on the amount of diesel it takes just to fabricate these vehicles before they hit the road. Because last time I checked, it was near the equivalency of a gas vehicle that has over
Okay, thank you.
200,000 miles on it.
Mario.
Hey, so I have some numbers for you guys. So just to address Tom, you know, a lot of the folks that are in this space now, we're not, I mean, I would sum up my energy policy in the US right now as drill, baby, drill. I want inflation to go down, and I want us to be producing oil in the United States. And just to give you guys some numbers, okay? So total F-Series sales 2023, 750,000. The number I have for F-150 is 623,000. These are worldwide sales figures. So most of the Ford trucks from the F-Series are obviously 150s. And the same thing goes for Silverado and Ram. Silverado is 412,000. Ram is 374,000. That's 1.4 million truck sales for the lighter duty of the series trucks. And we all know most of those are a lot of folks using them very occasionally for towing and loading, and definitely the Cybertruck can 100% fill that need. And Tom, I would just ask you, when you think about the impossibility of Dreamland, did you think 3 years ago the Model Y would have sold 1.2 million units and be the best-selling car in the United States? Just 3 years ago, would you have guessed that? Tom?
Yeah, let me tell you about the Ford sales for this year alone in 2024. We have 5 months left remaining in the calendar. Ford has already sold 402,931 F-150 trucks. So we've got 5 months left. How many more do you think we're going to sell? I think we're going to sell at least another 200, 300,000 easy. So that's going to put us back up to 700,000 or so, which I think is a huge amount of trucks. The Tesla thing. I expected the phenomenon to happen, especially with the success of SpaceX and with the purchase here of Twitter. I expect a lot more advertising to happen with the influencer market. Elon's very successful marketing his brand.
I expect a lot more advertising to happen with the influencer market. Elon's very successful marketing his brand in a way that no one else has by spending his advertising dollars differently. Basically, not. You know, he's been very frugal with his advertising, I would say, and so his business model is unlike any other. Which is different than, you know, really the union-run factories in Detroit, other places in America. So you know, it's a little bit different situation he has, and he's got the advantage in some regards. You know, the quality of the vehicle, the Tesla itself, I haven't been impressed with. The performance is different, and I think the short-term performance and quality is what most young people want, and so it fits that mold. And for a lot of people, they'll go with that. Younger people that don't want responsibility or actually edging toward a less responsible culture in America, they'll go in that direction. But I just don't believe it's for everyone. I believe some people like myself grow up working on vehicles and tearing down engines, and they'll never want to go back or go to like some electric go-kart or whatever. They're always going to want to drive ICE vehicles. And if they do have a Cybertruck or an EV, it will be a luxury item. And I would venture to guess that a lot of the EV sales do consist of luxury items for many people, where they keep an EV at their vacation house because it just makes sense for them or for whatever reason. You know, I think there's a lot of that, perhaps. You know, a lot of very wealthy people purchasing them. And
Tom, the
instead
question
buying
was,
new
did you expect
replacement.
3 years ago Model Y to become the best-selling vehicle in the world?
I'm not surprised. I'm happy for Elon. Yeah.
Okay. Nuance?
Yeah, so the only thing that would give me pause on this 2030 bet is, not their ability to sell Cybertrucks, but on the production side, because, obviously with Model Y, they learned a lot of lessons from the Model 3 and they were able to build like from the production up, like just a really efficient way of building the vehicle and everything like that. But with Cybertruck, because it's such a new way of doing things with the exoskeleton and the origami shaping with the 20x cold rolled steel and all that, and they've talked about the production issues because like when they bend the metal and it like bounces back and they have to do a lot of hand fitting. I'm not entirely sure they'll be able to fix all of that by 2030 so they could do mass production. So that's my only concern.
Usman. Matthew.
Yeah, I just want to go to the class of trucks. A Cybertruck is not the same class of truck as a Ford F-350 dually that has rating capacities of 40 plus thousand pounds. You can't put a gooseneck ball into a Cybertruck, hook a 40-foot trailer to it, and tow a 12,000 pound tractor. I'm not thinking that a Cybertruck should do that, and I don't think the current version, that was even the idea behind the Cybertruck, was to go do large hauling. The market is for people that drive F-150s around the town that want to be in a pickup truck, and they're not hauling a bunch of stuff every day. They're just hauling a few things a day. And one interesting thing that I noticed of the Cybertruck today, the stainless steel is very hot. Like you touch the side of it and it's hot, and maybe that's why a lot of people are wrapping their Cybertruck.
Mario.
I just wanted to touch on energy. So a lot of times, just putting some numbers on things kind of reduces the contention here. So 60% of the electric energy in the U.S. Is generated by fossil fuels. 19% from nuclear energy and 21% from renewables. And if we go back 10 years, the renewable percentage was about 10%. So in about the last 10 or 12 years, we've almost doubled the renewable percentage.
Nostra.
I was just going to comment on the S model being the most popular seller within 3 years. That makes perfect sense to me. I don't know if I
Model
mentioned
Y,
this.
not the S model.
Excuse
the
me,
Y.
the Y. Pardon me, the Y. I'm an RC hobbyist. Okay, I have like $10,000 worth of RC cars, things that I've been in the hobby for about 20 plus years. So I get the thrill. If you enjoy a sports car, the amount of power and everything, the delivery, there is no lag like there is in a gas motor. Okay, so I understand the attraction. The minute you get in there and put your foot on that pedal, you're going to be excited because the power is instantaneous and it is a whole different driving experience. I knew when they came out with that, just from the toys that I own, which are not, we're talking 5 horsepower electric motors running on 22 volts of electricity. Just the batteries in my 1/5 scale car cost me almost $300. So I'm waiting to see how this progresses, and with the reclamation and the recycling of the batteries, and coming from the ironworking industry and the mining industry, I'm interested in how this progresses with the limited resources available and how they plan to extract them without harming the earth, to be quite honest.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you for letting me speak.
All right. Tom, did you get a chance to look up Optimus from our earlier conversation yesterday?
I Googled it briefly, and that's as far as I got. But
you talking about the robot?
Yeah, the robot. What do you think about that robot, Nuance? Why don't you fill me in real quick? Give us a 411.
I mean, I think it's promising for the future. I mean, I don't think they're really hyper focused on it right now. They're mostly focused on the car and energy storage side right now. But I think maybe 10 years from now there could be a lot of promise with like humanoid robot, iRobot type helpers and stuff.
We were discussing the proposition of using them in oil and gas to do routine maintenance on location. If you had one of these robots show up in a electric vehicle to do a routine task instead of paying somebody to drive out there to the middle of nowhere to change the oil in a compressor or something.
No, the task we were discussing was unclogging your girlfriend's drain.
Oh, no, I don't think they'll be able. I think there's a higher likelihood you'll be able to program that thing to change the oil in a compressor on location before you'll be able to train it to do all kinds of very specific plumbing work and electrical work, like wiring a house or rewiring or servicing something after it's been completed. There's so many things that blue collar workers do that's technical and specific that's be incredibly challenging to ever train a robot to do. I feel
Okay.
that's
Nuance, can you give us a few sentences on your background? Is this the first time you're speaking in space?
And this one, yeah, probably. I mean, my background is mostly like I kind of talk politics and make YouTube videos on politics and stuff. I do own a Tesla, by the way.
Okay, and what's your relationship with Tom?
He goes into our spaces. We're both in Houston. Yeah.
Okay.
We know each other. It's not like we don't.
We've debated this topic very vigorously. He's pro oil and gas, and I'm pro EV, Tesla, and all that stuff. So,
but he votes right. So I cut him some slack.
Okay, Dallas.
Yeah, we just touched on Optimus. I think it's worth noting that, is it crazy to think that these things are going to train themselves by, watching videos on the internet? Like you mentioned plumbing. I mean, that could be something these robots could just teach themselves by watching the entire internet basis of videos on that topic.
Did you have a question for Tom?
Yeah, I do have a question for Tom as well. Tom, the only thing I would ask you is it just Cybertruck that you have a problem with, or is it the entire company as a whole? I mean, do you feel that you're a fan of the other products offered by Tesla? Is it just the Cybertruck that you're doubting?
I just doubt the application. People want to say that it's a blanket application to replace all vehicles on the road, and I don't believe they're there now, nor I don't believe they'll be there in 20 years from now. I do believe there will always be a use for some ICE vehicles on the road, and people will demand an ICE. There's a segment of society that will absolutely demand to own an ICE vehicle. They'll never want to own an EV. Doesn't matter if Elon makes it or the Chinese make it. Or if Ford makes it, they'll just simply not want it. So this isn't, me trying to be up here just lobbying for oil and gas, which, I do plenty of for the right reasons, because without it, humanity wouldn't be able to exist at the exponential growth rate that we're seeing around the world. Only for oil and gas can we experience what we're experiencing. So this act to try to destroy it is really an act to destroy humanity in my eyes. That's the reason I do what I do and speak out so much against things like the death system that was,
okay,
put in.
Yeah, going back to something that was talked about earlier before I came up here, Tom is right that, and I know you were disagreeing with this, Yaman, but the electric vehicles are mostly powered because the grid itself is mostly powered by hydrocarbons and all that. But that's kind of a case to.
Yeah, that's not what he said. You're changing his words.
So what did he say?
He said you're just moving the emissions from consumption to generation, and that's just simply not correct. You're
I'm talking. I mean, I heard him say that like EVs are powered by hydrocarbons primarily, which that is because the.
Yeah, that's not what he said. Nuance. You're just not. You're not. Sorry. People need to stick to facts. They need to get their facts right to be on the speaker board. This applies to every single person. If you don't get your facts right and you insist about these things, I will move you off the speaker board. It is very important to me in the longer term that the quality of discussion in the speaker board is very high and everybody gets their facts 100% correct. I don't care about short-term jumps in engagement, viewership because of some debate. That's nice to have, but you gotta have the facts correct. And this nuanced guy doesn't. And Tom, you're on the edge too. Mario?
I have a quote. It is difficult for a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. It's
Matthew.
Upton Sinclair.
Going back to the Model Y production and the Cybertruck production, I was shocked, and my numbers aren't exactly going to be accurate, but I remember watching the production numbers of the Teslas, and I think it was all of them, but I don't remember. It was not a very big number, and then it shot up really fast in 2 years. And I was shocked because I never thought that electric vehicles, I thought it would take years for Tesla to sell 1 million cars a year, and they did it really fast. So I guess my question is, like, does Tesla have to increase their production at the Austin facility to be able to increase their numbers, or is Tesla going to manufacture them outside of Austin?
Okay, Tom?
Yeah. So if anyone's interested in actually the words I said, you can go back and replay the space. We won't rehash that now, but you'll find an interesting conversation is unrolled.
Okay. Kramer Duck?
Thanks for having me. As a union contractor, I work in the Bay Area, and I know this is anecdotal, but I seldom see contractors using trucks for anything that the Cybertruck can accomplish. Even say, an S10 pickup for that matter. It's not like we're hauling around, big heavy stuff. The iron worker I heard earlier, he does have a point. At times, I will see iron workers or glazers with, glass on the side. Those two situations, I would be a little more hard pressed to see the Cybertruck replace as quickly. In addition, I'm also seeing a lot of electricians, 3 or 4 of them in the city, switching over to a Rivian and also F-150s. And if they're doing it, I don't see why, the Cybertruck can't.
Okay, Nostra?
I was just going to add to what Tom was saying about relocating emissions. The one factor that does have to be taken into consideration is when you do produce power and then distribute it throughout the country, there's a loss of power between the generation point and the plug. It's like water or anything else. You have to measure that loss and that resistance, that flow. So there is that to contend with. I'm not against Tesla or electric vehicles.
Do you know the loss of energy when a
Per
gasoline is
kilometer?
converted? No, a gasoline is converted in the engine into power. Do you know the loss percentage-wise?
It depends on the compression. It depends on the stroke. I mean, which engine are we talking about? Are we
It's
talking a
a lot.
Chevy 350?
Any engine you speak of, it's a lot more than any sort of electricity power that you lose, energy that you lose transmitting
But once
electricity.
again, if we're crunching numbers, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak, Yaman, if we're crunching numbers, we have to go all the way back to the origins of creation of the vehicle. And we have to take that into accounting. Okay. And that includes the mining of what it takes to create that vehicle. Okay. The mining of the materials and what it takes to put that vehicle on the lot, on the road. And I think that is a convenient omission in a lot of these discussions. And I
No,
would welcome, like I said.
The last time you guys were here, I posted a page from Tesla's master plan part 3, and that has the mining emissions and the vehicle production emissions included. And after year 3, You start on a net basis. After the third year of the use of the vehicle, you start cutting down on the emissions. And for the rest of the life of the vehicle, it's a much
What
better
is the
proposition
average
for the
miles?
world.
What is the average miles?
Did you look at that page, Nostra?
I didn't see
No,
it.
you
I
didn't.
didn't
Of
see the
course you didn't.
post.
Yeah, I'll
No,
send it
I
to you.
haven't had the opportunity. Please
okay.
do.
I'll
Does
pin
it
up here.
state the average mileage per year
Yeah, it
of
does.
the vehicle?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
send you the
And
exact.
just to let you guys know, there is a large factory here in what they call USA Parkway, not less than 40 minutes from me here in northern Nevada, also that is a Tesla manufacturing plant. Just so you guys know.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, just a rhetorical question regarding the charge time for the person who was carrying equipment and saying that charging is losing thousands of dollars. Don't you ever take lunch? Don't you take a lunch for like 15 minutes? Because 15 minutes, you can probably charge your Cybertruck like 70%.
Oftentimes you leave the job on lunch to run other errands while you're trying to shove something
Okay.
down your throat and keep things moving. But
Yeah, at the top, Nostra, Tesla Hype kindly reminded us 16 minutes ago, before I even said anything about it, because like I said, every single person in this space knows half the stuff that's coming out of Tom's mouth is just simply false. After approximately 3 years of driving, a Tesla EV's lifetime emissions are lower than those of a comparable ICE vehicle. While EVs today still emit more than GHGs during the manufacturing phase, including emissions from the supply chain, it takes about 3 years worth of driving for the total emissions from a Tesla vehicle to fall below that of a comparable ICE vehicle. After 17 years of driving, the average life of a vehicle in the US, a single Tesla vehicle will avoid about 51 tons of CO2 equivalent. This number is conservative for two reasons. It assumes no improvement in grid emissions over time, and an ICE vehicle maintains its fuel efficiency throughout its lifetime, which obviously we know never happens.
Yaman, if I could ask real quick, does this take into consideration the average day-to-day person whose car just literally just crapped out on them, and so they've only got $3,500 or $4,000 at best to go get something that will just get them back and forth to the grocery store as a cashier or a bagger? Or I think there's a cognitive dissonance that goes on with this, that everybody's going to be able to afford these things, and that there's going to be a flooding of the market.
Nostra, let me ask you something. What do you think is the price of the cheapest Tesla you can get today?
The cheapest one, probably in the high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's
you
much
say
lower.
that like it's
The
no big
average,
deal,
the
and that's my
average
point.
price, Nostra, the average price of a Tesla today is lower than the average price of an ICE vehicle.
Yeah, if you're comparing brand new prices, I'm talking about a market that exists, that sustains this country far more than the new car market. The used car market is far more important and is what keeps this country moving way more than the new car.
You can
So
get you can get a used Model 3 today for $23,000 off of Tesla's website. You can go to Hertz website, you can get it for less than $20,000. That is cheaper than 80-90% of the vehicles sold, including the used market today.
And that is wonderful, but for somebody that's only making $30,000 a year or $40,000 a year, that's still well out of reach. And most people are just getting by with that $1,200, that $7,500, that $5,000
also,
vehicle
Nostra,
that gets them to and from.
let me also add on top of that you're paying $2,000-$2,500. Tom is probably paying more than $5,000-$10,000 for gasoline that you don't have to pay once you get the used Model 3 as well. So you sound so worried about the lower income people, but they are the ones who are having to pay the most on gasoline. They're the ones who have to pay $5,000-$10,000 when the engine goes out.
But you're also discounting that these people don't have that amount of money to just go right ahead and get that vehicle right away, regardless of the savings they may be able to incur. You're discounting the fact that they just can't come up with that lump sum. And I think it's almost an arrogant, it's almost a position of arrogance.
Nostra, you're calling me arrogant and everything, but the fact is most people finance vehicles, and you can finance your Teslas too. You can get a new Model 3 today for $200-300 least, and you can start saving from gasoline $100 a month right off the bat. A lot of people can do that. You're just kind of misrepresenting all the facts here. Let's go to Tom.
I think you're
Let's go to-
discounting average American.
Okay, no, sir, thank you. Tom, and then JC.
And Ostra's exactly right. But I wanted to also explain about the cold weather feature. In the freeze, for example, Nuance Pro, were you able to drive around Houston without worrying about if you're going to be able to plug in your car if you didn't have electricity? If we're in an event where the gas stations aren't working, I can't get gas. I have to fill up ahead of time, but I can do that. I can physically fill up tanks. You can't, you can have a power wall or whatever. I don't know how long that's going to take you down the road. But if you're in an area where there's no electricity at all for days on end, like we just experienced with this hurricane, I really wonder how people with EVs were able to get to and fro without any issue whatsoever. If you're in an emergency situation and you rely on one vehicle and it's an EV and there's no way to charge it, how are you going to get from point A to point B? And so as somebody who thinks about, bad situations, because they happen, we've lived through them here in Houston, it makes me sleep much better at night knowing that I have a vehicle that's full of fuel. I have an extended gas tank on it. I have additional gas tanks with additional fuel already purchased before the storm comes in. And I don't have to worry about what may or may not happen, or having to stop everything and charge my vehicle off of a generator that takes forever. I can just go immediately. If I need to go immediately because I can't get EMS to my house because there's trees down and I got to take my, girlfriend, wife, whatever, neighbor, grandmother, mom, dad, father to the hospital, I can do that because I got fuel in the truck. It's just a lot more peace of mind right now. And so also the whole average car, the used car on the road, the average price of one, I think you would be shocked how cheap you can get a used car for these days. And a lot of people, when they first get their first vehicle, they're buying something that's less than $10,000 because they can't afford it because they don't have credit, because they're don't have any credit. So there's a lot of people that can get denied by Tesla for credit reasons, and those people have no other choice, and that's a fact. Tesla doesn't take everybody in no matter what. We know that. So there's a segment of society that's always going to rely upon the used car market. But also really the weather performance and cold weather, you can't rely upon it. It drains your battery right now. The range isn't there. The reliability of the EV isn't where it needs to be. It's on the same level as the reliability of the wind farms that are not where they need to be either. They also crash in cold weather.
Is there an end? Is there an end to your nonsense?
It's not nonsense, but that's funny. That's the way you try to characterize
Thank you, JC.
Yeah, Tom and Donnie, one thing I want to specifically say in response to, that everybody's not thinking about the common person. I do FSD videos. I came into this community just a couple years ago, and it was because of watching Omar do his FSD videos, and what Tesla is going to do with autonomy is going to be something amazing. I grew up in a trailer park in Beaumont, Texas, watching with a single mom and watching her struggle my entire life to keep a 1975 Ford Pinto together with bubblegum baling wire. And so I know the struggle. The struggle. What you're talking about is even middle class. I'm talking about, I know what those people go through because I lived it, brother. And what autonomy is going to do for these people is take away the need to even have car ownership. So I think you're missing something about the mission of this company. The reason that I'm even here is because of their mission statement on autonomy. So when you say that we're looking past people like that, no, brother, this company is the only company that is laser focused on people that are making poverty wages, living in the same trailer park that I grew up in.
Thank you. We're running out of time here, but let's go to Nick and then Omar.
Yeah, hey Tom. Tom, the comment you made about the cold weather, I think is incorrect. You said that how are you going to charge it if you lose power when it's cold out? How are you going to pump gas if you don't have electricity at the gas station? In addition, I was in Seattle this winter. My buddy's got a 350 We were going snowmobiling. He was pulling the trailer, and he forgot to plug in his diesel vehicle. And what happens when it gets below zero? It freezes the fuel. And so we were out of a vehicle. We couldn't take it. We had to go get it jumped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, and then Omar.
Yeah, you can put stuff in your fuel to keep it from gelling up. Number one, okay. Number two, you can store diesel or fuel by thousands of gallons at your home, and you can have a battery pump to operate it, which many people do on ranches where there's no electricity whatsoever, and they're tending to cattle. That's how we already do it. In fact, that's the most common way to do it, to transfer fuel. You can also transfer it in the bed of your pickup truck using an onboard battery, which is also one of the most common ways to transfer fuel on any location whatsoever to a work vehicle. It's very easy to do. You can have separate onboard filters to transfer it from your storage to your truck. It's not a problem. You can have extended fuel tanks. You can purchase all of this ahead of time. You cannot do that with electricity. You either have it or you don't. If you don't have it, you got to create it. And if you're out in the middle of nowhere and it's frozen, your wind turbine's frozen, and it's been snowstorming for 3 days, your only choice is burning wood or burning the fuel. And you better have fuel and wood ready to go, or you're going to die.
All right. I know we have a lot of people requesting to speak. I'm sorry that we didn't get to all of you. A lot of hands as well, but we're going to have to finish this up. Omar, go ahead.
Well, you know, what I'm hearing is just a lot of denial. As everyone's talking and arguing about EVs, I'm editing and uploading this video of the car driving itself for hours through San Francisco. And it's pretty clear this is going to change the way everybody lives. Most people aren't even going to own cars anymore. And the discussion is, oh, well, it doesn't work in the winter. Really? That's news to me. I mean, I've been driving an EV since 2018 as my only car. I didn't realize that it didn't work in the winter. I mean, I've taken it out into the snow, into the mountains. These are all just mostly myths. And everybody who drives an EV knows they're a myth. And, I think the quote about a man won't understand what his salary needs him to understand is so apt, because that's really what it is. It's a denial born of really a professional sense that this cannot happen. And there's no desire to get to the facts. It's just, well, this can't work because this and this and this. And okay, yeah, it's growing and it keeps growing and more people keep switching, but you know, it's just never going to work. It doesn't work in the winter. It's not reliable, which, the opposite is actually true. So,
Yeah. And coincidentally, Tesla just posted, maybe they're listening to this space, Tom. If you want to get a Tesla for $15,000, you can pick from any of the federal, state incentives, gas savings, or Model 3, Model Y. These are new, by the way, new vehicles. So the fact is Teslas are affordable to 95, 99% of the people in the United States.
That
yeah.
is
You're focused
And
on the
false as
1%.
when we're talking about like the super low end of the market, like someone who's buying a used vehicle for several $1,000s, I mean, these vehicles are fairly new, right? They've only been on the market for the last 5-6 years or so. In time, there will be used EVs that trickle down to that segment of the market as well.
Yeah. We are the past 10 minutes of our time. Thank you very much, everybody. I need to go.